for a company to have to go to a politician and ask for permission to expand, to pay for taxes on their equipment, to be able to get a permit or pay a fee to hire more employees, I think is wrong in a free society, in a free market society. Why do we have to kowtow or surrender our freedom to politicians when it comes to open up a business? What size sign can exist? If it should be lit at a certain time of day, and pay property taxes on our own property. I think that's outrageous in a free society.
Let me get Bob in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, we are used to so many of these things, and we tolerate so much of things. You know, our party believes that we should eliminate the taxes. You know, number one, a single business, all business taxes. To create the revenue, we propose that we should have about 40% tariffs on all the imported goods and all that. That will itself create, you know, so much of revenue, and you can take care of all other problems. Number one.
How much is the current tariff revenue in the United States?
Let me give
No,
you.
sir, how much is it?
States are prohibited. I'll defer to, but last time I took a look at the Constitution, you can't do it.
Please listen, how to create jobs. That's the question. If, you know, auto industry, for example, have this thing that they only assemble over here. That's the last operation before you sell. All the jobs will be created over here in Michigan. Right now, everything in your A to Z is manufactured in China. We are just selling, and we are importing more than we are exporting, and that's the problem.
That's exactly. That's why they're leaving the state and leaving the country, because they have to deal with regulations and taxes here in the state.
Do any of you have any idea why Honda is building a $2 billion manufacturing plant in Woodstock, Ontario, and what the number one factor was in their decision over there? I'll answer my question. Okay. It was healthcare. It was healthcare, and the reason is it costs thousands of dollars more. And this is a very heavily regulated, a very heavily taxed province, much more so than we are. But the Japanese automakers are going there because the single-payer tax or the single-payer health system that they have in Canada, they find competitively advantageous. And it's not China.
Bill,
Woodstock is an hour down the road here.
Bill, I also know, because I watch CBC News a lot, that a lot of politicians that live in Canada come down here for the health care because they don't have to wait 4 or 5 or 6 months for certain medical care and surgery procedures.
My point would be they're not the ones who are building the auto plants.
Okay, but see,
the ones who are making those decisions are making a different decision.
Those companies believe in somebody else footing the bill. We believe in a free society to where if you get politicians out of it, each company would be able to afford to pay their employee enough money to where they can take care of themselves health-wise, education-wise. I think it's outrageous to have politicians, a government-controlled medical health system.
Hold on, Greg. Let me get Doug. I think he's got a point here he wants to make.
The Green Party's been advocating for a single-payer health care system similar to the Canadian and European ones from day one. We understand the economics of it. The amount in total that's being paid to medical insurance companies is more than enough to cover everybody with a not-for-profit healthcare system.
When you take medicine, Doug, doesn't work. Cuba has it, and again, we have more.
Yes, Cuba
MRIs.
has socialized medicine. Cuba has a lower infant mortality rate than the United States, and Cuba doesn't have any homeless people walking around with infectious tuberculosis.
But they have more people in prison. That's for sure. More than we do. Look here.
I'm not sure about that.
Actually, on a per capita basis, America has more people incarcerated than Cuba also. But I'm not advocating a Cuban-style socialized medicine system.
I am not.
If you look at the economics of a business, any prospering business, you will see that taxes and the costs of regulation are a fairly small percentage of the total. When I was working at Chrysler Corporation before it was taken over by Daimler-Benz, the entire cost of legal claims, legal defense, product liability, all of their legal costs, and settlement of lawsuits was 0.4% of revenues. Taxes are similarly a very small part of a successful business's budget. If you are making business decisions for your business based on who has higher or lower taxes, you're going to be out of business shortly because your margin just isn't large enough to sustain your business.
Bob, do you agree with that?
Our party thinks that the basic concept, what has been prevailing right now, the regulations and the taxes and all that, they have to be completely overlooked and start with the thing. If you are doing, this is the capitalistic country.
Thank God.
Okay.
Thank God.
This is not socialist country. This
course,
is not
Doug was
communist
like Cuba,
country. So we cannot, do the government do everything. In socialist country, they want everything has to be done by the government. In communist country, they provide a job, but they have to control everything. This is a capitalist country.
Go ahead, pick it up.
And we have to take care of things. If we have no regulation, people can work. See, this country is great. Why? Because we have entrepreneurial spirit. We create jobs ourselves.
That's right.
With the less regulation, less taxes, the better it is, people create.
To endorse Castro's style of government, to where he dictates to me if I should go to prison because I said the wrong thing to that idiot as a dictator, or he violates free speech. He doesn't support a free press. I think it's wrong. And why are the citizens of Cuba leaving that country by the boatloads and headed for this country, Doug?
Can we talk about Michigan instead?
Yeah.
And perhaps turn it to we've talked about economy and taxes. Let's talk about healthcare for a second. I have a job that thankfully provides for my own healthcare. But if I didn't, I frankly, with healthcare costs today, could not afford to buy private health insurance. What
because
can
of high
should,
taxes,
Paul?
No.
Irrespective of taxes, I would be unable to afford health insurance even if I paid zero taxes. And there are many people, of course, who make minimum wage who do not pay federal taxes because they're exempt from taxes.
Paul.
How? It's not a tax issue. It's not a tax issue for the poor because they're not paying taxes.
So
listen, how can they afford health care?
Paul, the person has to pay property tax. They have to pay gas tax. They have to pay a sales tax on certain items. Taxes is the problem, to where the politicians prevent a person from having to take care of themselves health-wise, education-wise, save for retirement, go on trips. Money, lack of money for the citizens is the problem. And then also you must include regulation. I'm a medical records clerk. You ought to see the amounts of paperwork that a company, that the hospital has to deal with to fulfill government mandates. Where if all the paperwork was gotten rid of most of it, they would be able to hire more employees. They also provide a better healthcare system for their customers.
All right, let me get one here. Bob, go ahead.
Basic thing is like any product you make or any service you provide, okay? There are certain components you start with. The first thing is you man material, and then you have add up the labor costs and all that. Then you add up the regulations cost, and then the marketing cost and all that. The basic simple fact is that you know how much it's costing you to market a particular product or particular service.
Is that the question though?
In this country, the why this healthcare cost is so high.
Let me ask a different question. If it is in fact that regulation is so terrible, why is it that the businesses in this country support, by and large, and the Green Party could address this as well, the two-party system and aren't going directly over to endorse your positions if regulation is so
in
terrible?
My opinion, I think they're somewhat scared and intimidated by the politicians in that local area or that state, to where they will punish them through fines or fees or whatever it may be.
Hold on, Greg. I want to dig Doug in here because let's get Doug. I know he wants to say something.
Large corporations use government regulation to their advantage to cut down on competition from small companies.
That's right.
They buy or rent politicians who in turn return the favors. The most important thing you need to know about the Green Party is that our candidates refuse corporate money, political action committee money, soft money, any money that's connected to a lobbyist. We refuse it up front so that when we're elected, we're responsive to the people, not to a select group of campaign benefactors. Now, Greg Creswell has been most emphatic about saying that we should not entrust decisions to politicians. Now, that is true for the current crop of politicians that we have that are bought and paid for by special interests. But it's taking the short view and the narrow view. Politician is a dirty word. What we see in politicians today are people who spend millions of dollars to beat up on each other in the public, on television, to try and make each other look bad and generally succeed. What I envision...
Not on this show. Hold on. Real quick, I do want to get another question because time is running out though, okay?
All right, 15 more seconds.
15 seconds.
What we need to do is start being our own politicians, being our own elected representatives, and that's what the Green Party is about, is a grassroots takeover, taking our government back from these special interests and being the government rather than pretending that it's some third party distant individual.
Doug, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but a lot of people argue that lobbying groups are an extension of a democracy, that people pay dues to these organizations to promote their views, whether it's the NRA or the AARP or the Sierra Club or APEC. These are all organizations that are paid for by dues that people pay so that they'll be their voice. So isn't it in a sense that these lobbying groups are their voice?
That is true of the lobbying groups that you have cited. They are member-supported and to a certain extent member-controlled, although not entirely. But the vast majority of campaign contributions do not come from PACs like the AARP PAC or the Sierra Club PAC. The vast majority of the dollars come from special interests who are expecting a quid pro quo return on investment on the money they make. This was extremely evident in Kalamazoo about 3 years ago when there was a countywide zoning variance being proposed to open up a Walmart in an area that had not been developed yet, despite the fact that there was a very large vacant automotive parts plant downtown that could have been converted to other uses. In that fight, Walmart provided all of the money for the PAC that was supporting the apparent grassroots effort to get that zoning variance.
Let me get Bob in there.
Our party does not believe that in any kind of matching funds and all that. We spend our own money. So we believe that whatever we do, we are responsible for our actions. All this, PAC and societies and all that, this is an indirect way of, influencing the outcome, which is not. If I am elected, I am responsible for my action. And I should not be responsible for how the money is coming in, and I should not be responsible for returning their favors, because then I am not clear in my thinking and in my responsibility.
Let me get Bill Gallagher. We only have a couple minutes left.
Real quick, and it'll kind of take us full circle. I asked you at the beginning about your evaluation and assessment of the governor in relation to your party principles. Washington is extremely important for any state. What the federal government does profoundly affects the operation of the state governments. How would each of you rate the presidency of George W. Bush and the Republicans who have pretty much dominated Congress for the last 6 years?
Want to give it a letter grade to that? Go right down the line. Letter grade, President, Congress.
I'd give the Republican administration and Congress an A+ for putting forth their agenda, for pushing it through Congress, for trampling on the Constitution when it inconveniences them, for taking your tax dollars and mine and funneling them to Halliburton through the military siege of Iraq. I'd give them an A+ for their agenda, which unfortunately has nothing whatsoever to do with 95% of the people in America who are the middle class, the working class, and the wish we were working class.
Let me get Bob in there real quick.
We believe in the Constitution, and that means we believe that our borders should be protected, but I don't believe, and my party does not believe, we have to get involved in any issue of the world. We have to take care of our people first, then take care of the Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan.
Greg?
George Bush, D+, U.S. Congress, D+ also.
Last question, I'm going to wrap it up right here. I want you to tell us the best job that you ever had in your life. The best job that you've ever had in your life. We'll start with Greg. How about you?
I was a paper boy.
Why was that good?
It was for about 45 minutes. I got a chance to meet my neighbors and talk to a few girls on the way, and save some money up. My parents didn't charge me for staying there.
You're protected by child labor law.
Bob, best job you ever had?
The best job I have right now, I'm a management consultant and I solve problems. And that's the thing I'm best qualified to run this state.
Doug?
I think my best job would have to be as a team leader on a racing team where we were racing solar-powered automobiles. Although there was no salary, we were advancing the technology of solar-powered automobiles. We were bringing young college students up and crossing the gap between engineering school and engineering. We were building a real, tangible thing and delivering it at the end of the day. And on the race, we were soaking up media attention and meeting hundreds of people in a different city every day as we progressed along from Indianapolis to Denver on solar power alone.
Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, thank you, candidates. Thank you, panelists. That will end the open forum part of the debate. Now we'll move to the final part of the debate, the closing statements by the candidates. Lots were drawn before the debate to determine the speaking order, and Greg Cresswell of the Libertarian Party will give a 1-minute closing. Greg?
Thank you. Again, I want to restate my opening statement. That is, Michigan clearly needs a new direction, and believe me, please believe me, that it will never come from the two major parties that we have here in Michigan. For a new direction, we believe that we must elect libertarians to public office throughout the state. This, we believe, is easy to do if you are tired of the myth that Michigan is a two-party state. Please allow me again to give you 5 good reasons to vote Libertarian. We strongly support the idea that everything you own belongs to you and no one else, that everyone is equal under the law. We will defend individual rights, private property rights, and privacy rights. That politicians have far too much power and control over our lives. And number 5, we support a free market economy where politicians do not have the power to force a business to pay a fee, buy a permit, or purchase a license, and surely not tax our property.
Thank you, Greg Cresswell. Next, Douglas Campbell, Green Party. Closing statement, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you. I'd like to encourage the voters to vote for what you believe in. Naturally, I want you to vote Green. The governor has a very cushy job with a really good salary that I'd really like to have. It would be the first time in my life I actually had a 4-year contract in a job. But vote for what you believe in. Today's major parties are busy beating up on each other. They're trying to make each other look bad. They succeed. If a politician leaves a bad taste in your mouth, don't vote for them. If you don't know what they stand for, or if you don't agree with what they stand for, don't vote for them. It really is simple. Vote for what you believe in, not what you're afraid of. Almost everybody I've talked to in this year's governor's race has been encouraging me to vote for the lesser of two evils, and quite frankly, I've been unable to tell who that is. Again, vote for what you believe in, not what you're afraid of.
Thank you, Doug Campbell. Bhagwan Bob Dasharia, U.S. Taxpayers Party, the final word.
I think, the state of Michigan is so bad, you need a new blood, you need a new leader, and our party is the party which can bring the best manufacturing job to America by eliminating single business tax, privatizing government services, eliminating all taxes, privatizing education, part-time job for the part-time legislature, and believe in the Constitution as the main party. This is the right time to vote, somebody who can bring the jobs. This is the high time for not voting for the donkeys and elements. This is the time to vote for the real person like me, who can change and bring the job and make you prosperous forever.
I told you it was going to be lively. Thank you very much, candidates, and thank you, panelists, Bill Gallagher, Paul Kubicek, and Noah Ovshinsky. Also, I would like to thank our sponsors, Latronics and Advanced Light and Sound. Also, Massimo System Management for the web rebroadcast of tonight's debate. You can see this debate on cmntv.org. Also, I'd like to thank Jay Wanko and the volunteer crew, I should say, here at CMN Community Media Network for this beautiful studio. Thank you very much. And finally, thank you, candidates, panelists, and especially you, the audience. Remember, vote Tuesday, November 7th, 2006. From all of us here, I'm Charlie Langton. Good night.